last stop of our 5 weeks in Europe was Stockholm, Sweden. From the train system to the nature, Sweden was amazing. And we also did animal rights activism. I also got to meet one of my online friends who lives in Sweden. We had to wake up so early to catch the train to go to the airport that I only got around like 2 hours of sleep, but we eventually got to the airport. And sometime after 7 a.m., our flight flew out from Berlin to Stockholm. I still have anxiety flying, but at least this flight was like something over an hour and it was pretty chill, like not much turbulence. We landed and suddenly we were in another country with another language, but I was excited to meet my online friend of 3 years, and we trained over to Stockholm. Here's like the city center area. I thought it was really cool. And then we walked around with our luggage. I really needed sleep, but I also needed food, so we got some falafel wraps from this place, Falafel, I think. Then we just trained and bussed over to my friend's apartment. He was at work, but he was kind enough to leave us a key, so we got to sleep. And then he was off work, so he came and he made us this wonderful food, and it was really surreal meeting him. He's known online as Deep Vegan, otherwise known as Martin. So it was just really surreal to meet him after knowing him online for so many years. We met on vegan TikTok in early 2020. We were two of the first accounts on there making vegan activism videos. And yeah, we just became friends after that. Finally being in Sweden and meeting him was just so crazy. The next day, Stockholm animal rights activists had many events planned, so we took the Stockholm Metro, which was the coolest metro, by the way.
It's not fashion!
It's violence!
It's not fashion!
It's violence!
It's violence! There is no...
We protested outside of Louis Vuitton, and here's some amazing pictures Martin took. He does photography. Then we disrupted Max Mara.
One for code!
Then this Max Mara employee literally would not let us exit. And then right after this, someone gets the door open and I leave and some others, but they literally locked the rest of the activists in.
Yeah, this is the, you cannot come in and just go out like this.
Shame on you!
Shame on you for what you do!
Du kan inte låsa oss här inne! Det är olagligt!
But you cannot come in. Is it not right? No.
Shame on you!
Shame on you for what you do! Fair trade, murder trade. Fair trade, torture trade, trade.
Fair trade, torture trade!
Fair trade, torture trade. Not ours. Not ours. Death trade. Death trade.
You can find the full videos on my Instagram. Then my partner and I did some more chalking. We did Louis Vuitton, the Tiffany & Co. right next to it, and Max Mara. And a Louis Vuitton worker, obviously annoyed by our chalking, decided to try to clean it up. Then the having absolutely no data thing became a problem because while my boyfriend stayed to chalk more, I wanted to go find the outreach cube so I could maybe hold a screen or something, I don't know. I walked to where it apparently was, but they were literally not there, I swear to God, so that I like looked every single place I could to find them. And when I rarely could connect to Wi-Fi, they basically said like, you can't miss us, we're right by the metro entrance, and they were not there, I swear to God. And then I keep looking around and like I'm trying to not get lost. I'm panicked because I can't contact my boyfriend or anyone. But then I go back to the same spot and suddenly they're there. I swear to God they were not there earlier, but anyway, that was just very, yeah. Then my boyfriend came too, and I for some reason thought the queue was ending, so then we just got food. And I wouldn't have done an outreach conversation because I'm honestly just too burnt out with that, and then I don't really believe that outreach is that effective anymore. Yeah, and mentally, emotionally, I just really can't talk to non-vegans about veganism anymore. So like I would have held a screen, but it looked like the structure was like fully built and I really had no idea who was in charge or who to ask to even fit in, but it like there was an even number of people on each side. So I just basically stood there and was like, "Yeah." And then a bunch of the activists are going to go to a restaurant to eat and hang out. So in the subway, I take out my app that has my weekly pass on it, and it literally, like, my app crashes and it disappears. Like, I kid you not. My pass was literally just gone with only this screenshot as proof that it ever existed. So Martin basically squeezes me through and is like trying to help me figure this out. And then we train to the restaurant, and when we get there, I don't know why it wasn't a vegan restaurant. It was like a Ethiopian restaurant with like a vegetarian but also vegan options. So that's what basically everyone had. This is a random ear that's in the metro. The metro is so cool. Like, it just feels like you're deep underground, and there's so many escalators. So you just go so deep, and there's just so many creative designs. So, anyway, Martin basically helped with getting home with just explaining to people what happened, and bus drivers and people on trains, like, said, okay, whatever, get on. So, the next day, my boyfriend and I just did the same thing, explaining to people that I literally paid for a pass for a week, but it disappeared. And we walked around Stockholm. We went to this really awesome vegan buffet. It was called Herman's, and it was my first actual like vegan buffet from a restaurant, and it was really good. We walked around Gamla Stan, if I'm saying that correctly, which is the old town of Stockholm. Stockholm had these little lions all over, which I thought was super cool. After being friends with Martin, Sweden just seems like a better country in many ways compared to America, except for the weather. I don't think I could do the harsh winters of Sweden. However, the summers seem pretty great. The next day, Martin, my boyfriend, and I had planned on doing a hike slash walk. I had this cream cheese for breakfast, which I have not been able to find in America for some reason, but I found it in Sweden. The walk was very beautiful. It was really great to see some nature. We hadn't really seen much nature on our trip in Europe, but Sweden seemed to have some beautiful walks. We took some pictures after we climbed to the top of this like rocky hill. Here's some pictures that Martin took of my partner and I. At the end of our walk, we found a train station and then we went shopping for some groceries. I got this iced coffee that was like the best iced coffee ever, and it was like a reasonable price. And then we got some vegan burgers. Oh, and I think the previous day we opened up a case to get my money back for my missing weekly pass. However, I was never refunded from them. But also after our walk, I bought a 72-hour pass in in physical form, so that stupid shit won't happen again. The next day, my boyfriend and I dressed up, which is something we were gonna do in two other cities, but it just kept not happening. So we trained into Stockholm and we went to this really cool, it has like a leftist bookstore, like vegan restaurant. So that was really cool and the food was really good. I got a barbecue burger. We found an Esperanto like QR code on the table. I don't know why, but we walked around a cemetery. A cemetery, and then oh yeah, we saw this, which is always cool. And then we just took pics, which was like the goal of dressing up, and we got some cute pics. We walked around Gamla Stan again. So everyone knows IKEA is from Sweden. So we went to IKEA thinking that we could like find a vegan hot dog or something, but there was like next to nothing there. So we were like, okay, bye. Then we ate at Chow Chow and there was a 3D printed vegan steak, which yes, my boyfriend got. And I tried one bite and it was good. And I got a burger because I'm super basic, you know. But here's the steak being cut. It was really interesting. The next day was our final day in Europe and Sweden, and we were very traveled out at this point. Like, we were just ready to fly home. We were like, oh, what are we gonna do today? What restaurant and what things are we gonna do today? Like, 5 weeks in Europe was a lot. Like some days I would just want to rest, but I'd be like, come on, you're in Europe. You have to go do all this. Otherwise, you'll regret it when you get back. It was a hot day, so I was happy to go to Mahalo and get a smoothie. However, my boyfriend's food was like way better. When I ordered this, I thought it would be a tuna sandwich, but it was instead like a piece of bread with like some tuna y thing on it in like a salad, which like it was still good, but I was not expecting that. Then we went to this medieval museum, which just kind of talked about the history of Stockholm, and it was actually really, really cool, and it was also free. I said my goodbyes to Stockholm. Coming back from doing shopping for our flight the next day, I saw the bumpiest parking lot I've ever seen. That night, I said my goodbye to Martin because he would be at work when we left in the morning. And the next day, we got ready for our really long flight home. We packed everything and cleaned, and I left this for Martin. And we took the bus and then the train to the Stockholm like city center train station, which is where we got this really good food. It's just the vegan options from like a buffet and then you weigh it and pay, and it was like $10. It was like pretty good. This grocery store was within the train station. America could never. We trained back to the Stockholm airport and boarded our plane to Reykjavik, Iceland, which is where our layover was, which I found to be very interesting. I assume it's because Stockholm and Seattle are both fairly north, that the layover between the two was in Iceland. This flight was cursed apparently because there was turbulence on takeoff and landing, like ascent and descent, so that was not fun for me. But then we waited in line at the airport for our Seattle flight, and eventually we took off, and despite wind, there was no turbulence, but it was a really long flight. Oh my god, like around 8 hours. The package of this pita bread we had like inflated because of the air pressure, which was really fascinating. I just thought this napkin was funny. The flight lasted forever. But I just watched Shadow and Bone season 2 on my phone, like edited some activism videos from Europe. I just did so much because it was so long. Oh my god. I think I only used the bathroom once though, so I think that's pretty impressive, personally. During the like maximum altitude cruise part of flights, I'm like pretty chill, but I still have like anxiety, so that's also not fun to deal with. And then just sitting in one place for so long. I also was kind of tired, so I got a little bit of sleep in. We also made sure to eat enough snacks on the plane so that my like stomach problem puking thing wouldn't happen. Eventually, we landed in Seattle, and it was actually really surreal to be in America again. I would say surreal in a bad way, to the extent where I wish I could live in Europe and have public transit and all the benefits of a lot of European countries, like healthcare and just being able to make enough money or go to college and not be in horrible debt. I wish I literally didn't need a car to get places. Coming back to America was also surreal because it felt like weird, like English was the main language again, but it's not in a British accent. And it felt funny, as if Europe was like a daydream or something. Like, did it really happen? But yeah, I'm back in the land of capitalism, car dependency, and LGBTQ plus people losing their rights, and so much more. No country is perfect, but if I could live anywhere, it would probably be in a European country. I was very happy to be home though and be able to rest because Europe was it was so much. So I definitely needed like some rest after that. I honestly didn't even get enough rest because I had so much to journal, and then I started making these videos, and then right after that, I only got 12 days to just like not go a million places. Because, like, then my boyfriend and I drove all the way down to San Francisco for a third time to go to the Animal Liberation Conference, which I'm debating, but I think I'm going to make a video about it. So I have edited so many of these. Anyway, so you can follow me on Instagram where I like post a lot. I kind of just make YouTube videos to do it. Honestly, yeah.